All right, so let's go. So this is a saw that I got at Harbor Freight. And Harbor Freight is definitely a place that I think makes a lot of sense for any home mechanic of any sort, whether you're actually working on cars, because you could get a lot of equipment there for like a fraction of the cost of the high-end things. And so this saw is 200 bucks. And I really felt that a lot of people that are just doing one bathroom or two bathrooms and that's all they intend on doing, they just don't want to pay $20,000-$30,000 to have a contractor to come there and do it, but they need equipment to be able to do it. Renting can be somewhat troublesome because you're going to need this for multiple days, and by the time you're done paying for the rental fee, you might as well buy a saw at that point. So I went with something probably the most practical, affordable. Now, you know, prices keep going up on everything, so keep in mind that, you know, this is $200 now, it might be $400 by the end of the year, who knows. Let's just pull this thing out. I actually was checking this out at the store and I thought it was actually fairly well made. And I'm gonna test it out and see how this works. Okay, so this comes with a blade. This is our components to it. One thing I already do like though is how this is all like a cast aluminum. So it does feel pretty quality. It definitely does feel pretty solid. I mean, I've seen it. Okay, so this has a 45-degree angle on it. So when you want to do 45-degree cuts. And then, now the one thing, you know, this is only $200. So where they're going to cheapen out on is the actual blade. We're going to try this blade out, see how it does, but I'm not going to have much faith that this is going to be any good. So if you were to buy a little tabletop on this, I would really highly recommend, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of porcelain tile and you're going to be doing more than one bathroom, is to buy a decent blade. Now this is going to cost you 75 bucks, something like that, but for porcelain tiles, this is definitely going to be a superior type of blade that you're going to have a lot better success with. So it's going to increase the price of everything, but also make the installation a lot less frustrating. I mean, so you can see, like, this is basically has these little notches on it, kind of keeps the blade cool. This is just a regular smooth rim type. I don't know though, this might actually be pretty decent for all I know. I'm going to try it out. It says ceramic, stone, marble, porcelain. Now, if you were doing just stone, like marble or travertine, I wouldn't even buy a good blade. You can just use anything for that for the most part. You'd be totally fine with this for a stone, because stone is really soft, especially something like slate. You really don't need anything special. But hard porcelain like this, you're definitely going to want to use a good blade. This is indicating this rotation is going to be coming towards you. I always love the tools that have the wrench. There we go. Okay. Okay, so anytime that you get any type of new saw, you really need to kind of prime it. So use some hard porcelain. Let's just use this piece of tile here.
Is this the original blade that came with
This
it?
is one that came with Harbor Freight, yeah. But I tell you what, I like this guide. This guide is actually sits in here pretty well. It's got like a little lever to press it down and you can maneuver it. So I think that's pretty cool. It also has this 45-degree angle turn here. So if you had angle pieces, you know, like if you're doing bull nose or something around a window, you know, you can adjust this at a 45 and get your pieces to go at diagonal. So this is kind of cool. Most likely I'm not going to be using this as a real guide, because you only have so much room you can actually bring that back on. But it is a nice feature to have that 45-degree angle. But a lot of times, you know, I'll just put my square on here, you know, and then if I'm cutting a piece, just kind of push that through. So, you know, this actually might be a little bit more accurate when it comes to it. But let's just go ahead and cut a bunch of pieces, because you need to break in that blade. So I'm gonna rip these down and just see what this cut's like, just, you know, starting out. Okay, so, I mean, that's the first cut with no real priming of the blade. It's not bad, you know, I can take my sanding pad. Yeah, I could take my sanding pad and I could get a pretty nice, that's a pretty factory looking edge there. So even without, I mean, this is hard porcelain, this is cheap tile, but that works out pretty well. So I'm gonna run a bunch more through, and then we're gonna try the ceramic that we're actually gonna be cutting. Yeah, you can still make that work pretty good. So, you know, you just, the biggest thing is not pushing the blade, pushing it too much. So it's definitely gonna take a little bit of time to make this really, I mean, if you had a whole bunch of long cuts like this, it's definitely gonna take you some time, but it's definitely manageable. You could definitely do it. Let's try the actual tile that we're gonna be using. This is gonna be just a regular ceramic, high gloss ceramic. So this is the stuff that we're actually gonna be cutting, and this is what really means something to me right now. So let's try it. Yeah, I could live with that all day long. Yep.
It actually did a nice job.
It did do a nice job. I could live with that, you know, so if you just wanted to use this saw to rip everything down, if you didn't want to get a snap cutter, you could pretty much probably do the whole tub surround with this. Now there is some challenging cuts that we're gonna have because of the window, but that's where if you had this in a combination with a good blade for your grinder, you should be all right. Now this would be definitely time consuming if you're doing a lot of long rips like this for like big floors or anything like that. I wouldn't really, you know, I really wouldn't be ripping this. That's why I got the slide cutter. Now this is the one I'm saying is probably the most forgiving, just because the edges are all the same color, and it's just a little bit of a rougher texture. Like you can get away with, I mean, I'm not saying you can get away with big chips or anything like that, but it's just not as crucial as a high gloss like this, because when these tiles come together, the high gloss, when you grout that, you're gonna see that whole edge. Whereas this stuff, you can see even down the edge of this, it's kind of beveled out at the bottom, but it just has more of a rounded edge to it. So this stuff is a lot more forgiving. Alrighty then, very nice. No chips, I mean, really nothing. I'm totally happy with that. I'd still get one of these just to take any of that sharp edge off of there, but I'm very pleased. I mean, even the other opposite end cut is nice. This high, yeah, we gotta try one more. This is another kind of a popular tile because, you know, everyone sees the nice shine to it. It's gray, so gray is still in. So this could be really problematic because of the high sheen, and, you know, you can even kind of see the porcelain coating. It's not very thick, so there's not much there. Let's go ahead and try to do this piece and see what this looks like. So that's really tough. That's a tough one so you can see chips on there. That's not really gonna go away. Now you can get away with this as being the cut that goes towards the tub because you're gonna be caulking it. But if you were trying to put this against a metal edging, I mean, you might be able to sand this up then. I mean, you could make that work. you're gonna be fighting this. You're gonna be fighting this kind of tile on here. That's where the snap cutter makes a nice clean cut. Yeah, so that's a bit cleaner all the way along there, and then any of this rough edge. Yeah, much cleaner. There's really no chips on it. It's a little wavy. This is still a really tough type of tile to make look good. This is the type of stuff I would try to get my customers to avoid buying, just because of how hard it is. But you know, the hardest part of this tile is going to be around that window, making an L cut and making that look all nice and clean. But you're just going to take a little bit more time. You know, it's going to be more labor intensive to install something like this.